Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and a big hello if you are new here. It's so nice to have you with us. In this episode I'm going to be sharing with you how I make my recyclable packaging for my cake toppers and party decorations. I did share a similar video a while back and mentioned that when I'd run out of these plastic packages, I was going to start making my own more environmentally friendly packaging using vellum, and that's what I'm going to be doing today. So this is my packaging, and this is the one that I'm going to be making with you in today's video. It's completely recyclable. It's made from vellum and some photo paper with a couple of just regular staples in there. So this whole thing, including what's inside it, is completely recyclable, which I think is fab. So if you want to learn how to make some vellum packaging, keep on watching and let's jump straight in. Before we start designing our packaging on Cricut Design Space, what we need to do is make the actual packaging envelope. So this is the vellum that I use. It's relatively see-through. You can still see whatever the item is that you're going to be packaging. So this is what I'm going to package up today. This is just a neon happy birthday banner, as you can see, and what I'm going to do is pop this into an envelope made of vellum, and then I'm going to make a little header card to go across the top. So let's just fold this vellum in half, and you can use a squeegee or a scraper to make that a nice crisp fold if you want to. Let's just have a look which way around it's best to pop this in here. I think it's going to be a little tight that way, so I'm going to just use it this way round. What I shall do first of all then is just glue across the bottom here of my vellum. And do that like so. And then this piece across the side here, I need to be about there. So if I just make a little mark on here somehow, so if I just put a little slit in there with my knife, then I know I can put my glue across there, and that's going to work perfectly. Let's go down there, nice and straight as we can. We need to let this dry really well so that we don't end up splitting the paper when we come to make our packaging up. So that's how that's going to look for now. That will dry relatively clear once we have left it for a few minutes. So let's jump into Design Space and do our actual design now. Okay, so these are the two different designs that I normally use, and I've done the neon banner before, so I've got one on the screen here to show you, but I'm going to show you how I make this up. I'm going to run through it really quite quickly. So all I do is just get myself a shape, usually use the rounded edged rectangle, and then all I'll do is change my width at the top here to the width of my packaging. Let me just grab my ruler and just double check it. In this instance it's going to be about 13 centimetres. So this one is probably a little bit small that I've got on here already. Let's just have a quick look at it. Yeah, that one is 12 centimetres. So let's make this one 13. So we just change the width there to 13 and hit enter. So that will change the height in proportion with the width. So it's made it 8.6, which is pretty good. I am going to change it to 8, so let's just unlock the padlock and just knock those extra digits off there. So it's 13 by 8 now. Just to make it so that it's representative of the paper that I'm using, I'm going to change that to white. If you don't know how I've changed the background colour of my canvas, I'll show you that now actually, because if you're using white as your background for your packaging, if you're using white as a canvas colour, it can be difficult to see. So if you just come down here to where it says blank canvas and click on that, you'll notice that this top menu's changed, and here you can click on colour and you can change your canvas to whatever colour you like. Let me change it to a darker purple so you can see that. So that's how you do that, and it does make it a little bit easier to see if you are using white for your material. So what we're going to do next then is get our wording. Let's click on text, and the font that I'm using here is called Equinox. I love Equinox.com, it's a lovely font. Let's type in neon birthday banner. Let's put that on 3 lines. Then we can change our formatting of this, so we can come up to alignment and center it. I want to change my font size, so I'll change that down to 18 point. Click enter. Perfect, pop that on there. I can also change the colour that I want it to print in. So I'm going to do, let's do green for this one. Okay, now I need to put the length of my banner on here. That's important. 2 meters. And then again, change the colour to the green. I'm going to make this text very slightly smaller than what it says for the neon birthday banner, so I'm going to turn that into 14 point and pop that onto there. Then I also want to make a point that my whole banner is completely recyclable, including the packaging. So let's change that to 100% recyclable, and let's put that onto 2 lines again. Let's just change that to green, and again I think the size down to 14. The references to the font sizes are exactly the same as what you get if you were using Word or Pages or any other word processing package really. So what we're going to do next is make sure we've got all this centered up. So let's just click on the first lot of wording and then select the outer rectangle as well. And in the layers panel on the right hand side, you can see which layers you have got selected because they do highlight here. I am going to click on align and then center that horizontally. So that is now in the center of there. I'm pretty happy with the placement of these, but I do want them to both be starting on the same line. So again, I'm just selecting those 2 layers and I'm going to come to align, and I want to align them top. So that means they are both in line with one another. Next, we need to turn this into a print then cut. So if we were to just go through now and let this print and then cut, it's not going to work. What it's going to do is cut all of these little letters out individually, and that's not what we want it to do. So what we need to do is drag over this whole section. So we've now selected all of those words and the rectangle. You can see each one of those layers is highlighted. Then we want to come down to the bottom and click on flatten. So let's just click on flatten. And now that has converted that into one layer, and you can see that the black outline that was around all of the wording has disappeared, and it's turned it into a print then cut. Next, what we need to do is put our score line across here. So if we go back to the shapes menu, and this is a score line, here it is here, and we want it to be the same length as this whole piece of card, so we want that to be 13 centimeters. So let's just go up to there and change the size of that to 13 and hit enter. And obviously it is facing the wrong way at the moment, so let's come to rotate at the top here, and we're going to type in 90, and that 90 is representative of degrees, so we're flipping that around 90 degrees. There we go, and now we can just move that up here slightly, but we want it to be in the center so that when we make the fold it's nice and neat. So let's just click on there and select all of that. Okay, so now we've selected all of that. If we go up to the alignment tool again, and we want to just click on center. Okay, so that's put that line now in the center of there. So next what we want to do is select all of that again. And now we want to attach. It's important that you don't do the score line until you've flattened, because if you attach when your words are there and you haven't selected the right layers, it's going to completely mess it up. So we need to make sure we flatten first and then add on any other like ancillary cuts or anything like that afterwards. If you wanted it to cut a shape as well, you could add that in now if you want to. So if you're going to be making these little header cards and hanging them on Euro hooks in a shop, you might want to make sure that your little bit of wording is further down so that you can put a hole here and duplicate it onto the back so that you can get a hook through that as well. So we're going to cut out this one now. I'm going to hide these two. So let's just click on those. And we want to hide that. Okay, right. So for this, I'm going to be using some glossy photo paper. It is non-plastic coated, so it does make it recyclable. If you do want to say that they are recyclable, you need to make sure that your paper is recyclable. So let's go through to make it now. Okay, so this is exactly what I was expecting it to come up with. It's just come through onto one mat, and if I just click off it there, you can see that there's no lines around it. If we click on it, you can see roughly where it's going to cut, but it will have the rounded edges. We're going to click through to continue, and it's found my Cricut Maker, what I've got plugged in with my USB. If you've already printed previously, you can click on this option here. If you need to print it now, what you want to do is click on send to printer, and it'll bring up your print setup. For this sort of thing, I usually turn bleed off, and I then turn on system dialog settings. Then I click on print, and it's going to whir away a little bit, and then it's going to come up with my dialog box for my Epson printer. There it is. Sometimes it does hide behind design space or behind this print setup box in the background. If it doesn't come up, it's a good idea to just minimize your windows and move things around a little bit, and you'll probably find it there. So now we want to change our print settings, so we're printing on the right sort of paper and that sort of thing. So with my Epson printer, I click on layout, and then I click on print settings, and then this changes my media type here, so I can click on the plain paper and change it to glossy photo paper. Now I just leave the quality as it comes up, which is the second from lowest quality, because to be perfectly honest, I haven't really noticed much of a difference between that setting and the best quality one. All it does really is make the print a little bit more dense, but for this sort of thing it doesn't matter, and as I'm only doing one as an example today, I don't need to worry too much about it. So once I've done that, I'll click on print, and then it will go to my printer, and then I can show you what's next. So just while that's printing, I'm going to just run through the base material settings for the cut next. So on my screen here, I've got all my favourites, and this is the setting that I use, which is photo paper. If you haven't got that set as a favourite, if you go into browse all materials, and then you can just type into the box at the top photo, and then you'll get that come up just there. If you click on it, you'll get the little green tick on the left, and click on done, and then that is selected and ready to go. So now the machine is going to tell us what we need to do next. It's pretty self-explanatory, but I'm going to go through it with you. So you're going to need your scoring wheel, or you're going to need your scoring stylus. I think today I might use the stylus just because it's going to be quicker. So I'm going to click on apply there. If you miss that, I'm clicking on edit tools, and then you can choose what you like. So I'm choosing stylus and then apply. So that has changed that now to in clamp A scoring stylus, and then in clamp B fine point blade. Then you can just hit go on your mat and it'll do the magic. So let's grab the printout. There we go, there's the printout. It's a bit dark in here today, the weather's rubbish. So that's what we're going to cut out next. Let's grab a cutting mat. Oops, move the mouse out of the way. Let's pop this onto there. I'm going to use my brayer again, just to give it a good old press down. Here is my scoring stylus. I'm going to pop that into clamp A, which is where we would use a pen normally as well. I've already got my fine point blade installed, and then what this is going to do is scan around this box on the Cricut with its little light, and it's going to be looking for this border so that it knows where to cut in relation to with what we've got on the screen. So let's pop over to the machine, pop this in, and watch it do its cut. Alright then, so let's just pop the mat in. Okay, that's in there nicely. Here is my stylus. Apologies if the camera is a bit wobbly because I'm trying to do this one-handed. Let's pop that into clamp A. That just clicks in nicely. Now what we want to do is just hit the flashing go button. And what you're going to see the Cricut do now is pop its little scanning light on, and it's looking for that box like I said. And it's working out where it needs to cut in relation to what we've got on the screen in front of us on the computer. So it just runs over the page, backwards and forwards, however many times it needs to. If you haven't used Print Then Cut before, I would recommend that you calibrate before you do a project that uses Print Then Cut. I have got a video on how to do this, so I'll link that above now for you. It's definitely worth watching and making sure that your machine is going to cut accurately. Alright, that is done scanning, so now hopefully it's going to do its score first, and then it will do the cut around the box shape. Okay, so that's the score done. Just going to go over to the right hand side with the carriage, and it's just checking that it's got the right tool in there that it needs. Now it's just cutting our nice rounded edge rectangle exactly how we wanted it to. Okay, so that is cut. Let's just get it off the mat. So to get it off the mat, flip it over, and this mat's not all that sticky, so it will come off pretty easily. Okay, let's pop that piece into the recycling bin, and then I'm going to keep this piece to use for another project. So here is our little piece that we've cut, and as you can see it's come out really nicely. It's scored really well across the top, so we just want to fold that over. Just be mindful that if you're using a paper like this that is glossy, if you're not careful when you fold it, or you use a squeegee or something to make a crisper fold on there, you are going to end up with a split piece on the top, and it may look a bit scrappy. So I just tend to use my fingers to pinch down on photo paper like this, just to keep it from going like that. Now that we're happy that the glue's dried on our vellum envelope, what we're going to do is pop the item that we are packaging into it. Slide it all in, make sure we've got all of that string in there as well. So that goes in there nicely. I'm just going to push all that down a little bit at the back. Now I've got quite a bit of spare vellum at the top, and obviously if I pop that on there it's going to make it quite big, so I'm just going to snip off that small piece across the top there. To do that I'm going to just use my steel rule again and my knife. There we go, that's perfect. Okay, so that looks pretty good. Now what we're going to do is grab our printed header that we've just made, and all I do is just pop that on the top there, and then I just get my stapler here. It's just a basic stapler, and I just staple that on either side onto there, and that is done. and that is 100% recyclable. Even the staples, because they're metal, you can take them off and put them into your household recycling, and it looks really professional and I think pretty darn good. So that's how I make my recyclable package. So I'm really pleased that I've started to make my packaging now, because I had to use these single-use plastic envelopes for quite some time because I'd got quite a lot of them in my stash. So as these start to run out, I'm definitely going to make all of my packaging in this way. So if you order anything from me on Etsy, you're going to find that it comes in one of these relatively soon. Some things are still coming out in the plastic packaging because I might as well use them. But if you do get something in one of these, try to reuse them. So that is my recyclable packaging. I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, I'd love to see you again for another one. So don't forget to subscribe. Drop me any questions or comments that you've got down below, and I will try to come back to you as soon as I can. Have a great week. Take care of yourselves, and I'll see you for the next one. Bye.